statement said. Well, joining us now from our Haifa studio is Arab affairs expert Wadia Abu-Nassar. Wadia, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Wadia, we had you on the show exactly 1 week ago as searches for the terrorists were underway, and you were calling for calm and urged refraining from generalizations. Now, 1 week later, Milheim was located in his hometown of Arara, apparently after receiving support from local residents. Has this situation changed?
Well, I'm afraid that not much. Actually, I'm quite worried from what would happen, not only from what has happened, especially because now there are some people who are hinting that Milheim got some collaboration from different activists, most probably are from the Arab community. I do hope that this would really not affect negatively the already fragile relations between Arabs and Jews in the country.
Well, many Arabs in the sector, including residents of Arara, have condemned the attack, but they are still saying that the motives need to be thoroughly investigated, and perhaps despair may have led him to carry out such a horrific murder. What do you think?
Well, this is, by the way, one of the reasons that many Arabs hoped that Milheim will be caught alive, not to be killed, because when he is caught alive, he might be giving some information during investigation. But what happened has happened, and now there are many questions which would remain, in my belief, unresolved. Mm-hmm. In any case, it is important to highlight that the vast majority, if not all, Arabs in Israel disagree with the act of murder and of terrorism committed by Milheim. We should not forget that one of the killed was also an Arab. But on the other hand, people are quite angry on the state because there is a feeling as if the Arab community is still persecuted, and instead of closing the gap of inequality, people are justifying more disequality between Arabs and Jews.
One of the things that was mentioned during the week was that there's a proliferation of weapons in the Arab community. Well, shouldn't the Arab leaders be calling for them to be seized?
Well, I can tell you that calls have been made in the last years to the police and to the relevant authorities to collect the illegal arms, and it is clear to many that there are many illegal arms in the Arab sector, and even Minister Erdan admitted that about 90% of these arms are leaked or stolen from the IDF. So I think that there is a space for a kind of overwhelming and comprehensive investigation about the sources and about who is benefiting and who is allowing these arms to flow around. In any case, I believe that there are more than 1,000 Arabs were killed by these illegal arms in Israel, and very little has been done. I believe that time has come not only to collect the illegal arms, but to introduce a new culture of non-violence within the entire Israeli society.
I believe you're correct. You know, and the Prime Minister is being accused of inciting against the Arab sector and staining this whole population. What's the feeling among the people that you're talking to, and can this be rectified?
Well, I can tell you that there is great anger amongst the Arab community vis-a-vis the Prime Minister, especially now in moment of crisis. People were hoping that the Prime Minister would be the father of all, and instead of engaging himself in criticizing certain segment of the Israeli society, he would be more hugging. People are also angry on the Prime Minister for naming ministers, Ze'ev Elkin and Yariv Levin, to be in charge of defining whether to distribute or not to distribute the extraordinary about 10 billion shekels budget dedicated to the Arab community. All these things, are practically affecting negatively the relationship, which is already bad between the government and the Arab community. I believe that the Prime Minister should outreach, and I think that his statement of this morning might help by saying that the gaps has to be closed, but I really believe that he should make serious efforts in this direction.
I know you're not a prophet, but do you see tensions sort of subsiding between the Arabs and Jews of Israel and things getting back together?
Well, I tell you frankly, and unfortunately, the gap or the relations went bad already since the year 2000 with the beginning of the second Intifada. And since then, the relations were not as it used to be. By the way, it was not really the perfect relations that one could talk about. I believe that we need efforts from different sides, at least three sides. First, the government. Second, the Arab community, and for sure the Jewish community, in order to close the gap not only of this inequality, but also the gap in terms of misunderstandings here and there. I believe we need more courage and wisdom now by these three components to integrate truly the Arab community in Israel, and not to have a generalization as of all Arabs are criminals, that they should apologize days and nights for what Nashat Milham did.
Well, dear, one final question. I know you have close relations with the Latin Patriarch. What have you heard about this latest act of vandalism in Beit Jamal?
Well, I can tell you the church leaders are very annoyed, not only from this specific act committed recently in Beit Jamal, but from the fact that the vast majority of similar incidents are not treated sufficiently and seriously by the Israeli relevant authorities. Therefore, the church leaders do hope, and this is one of the reasons for announcing what happened to the media, they do hope to press the relevant authorities, and not only the police, to invest more efforts to find the criminals and to bring them to justice, but also to educate all to respect each other, and not only to have a preference to certain community over the other.
Well, dear Abu-Nassar, from joining us from Haifa, thank you so much for being with IBA.
Good evening.